Yes.
Awesome. I am in Kinston, North Carolina. Um, I'm going to move to Columbia.
Okay.
Columbia, I already heard that. Anyway, it's a joy to be here today. Anything else I'm supposed to say?
Just where you calling from and how you doing?
Oh yeah, I'm doing awesome here in Kinston, North Carolina. I'm doing awesome. We are on stay at home, be in by 5 right now, and things are trying to a minimum here.
Okay.
And I look forward to the conversation today. Really
Cool. All right.
exciting.
Well, amen. Sister Linda. Sister Linda, you are muted. Can you unmute your phone? Can you hear us, Sister
Okay.
Linda? There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Good morning. I'm Linda Jones, and I'm here in Dallas. Good morning, everybody. And yeah, I know Detroit. I moved here from Detroit to connect. I used to work at the newspaper there. So
Wow.
connect, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Sister Taisha.
Oh, hey, Angela and Don. Yeah.
Sister Taisha, can you hear us?
Yes.
No, time.
Oh, Taisha. I think it's Aisha.
No, Taisha. Aisha's late.
Good morning.
You're very faint, Taisha.
Where are you calling? Where are you calling from, Taisha? And how you doing?
I am doing fine. I am in North Mississippi, closer to Memphis, Tennessee. About an hour out.
Okay.
Down here in the country.
And are you guys on a lockdown in the country, in the rural areas as well?
Very much so.
Okay.
We are on shelter in place order.
Right. And how long has it been so far?
I guess I was we were on spring break like 9th through the 13th, and then we didn't go back to school the next day. So I mean the next week. So
Okay.
it was like 17th. So yeah.
Okay.
It's been
All
a
right. Yeah. Time is flying. Okay. All right. The last sister so far is Sister. Is it Taro or Taro?
That's Sister Tyra.
Oh,
That's the queen, man.
I'm sorry. I thought it said Taro. Okay, Sister Taro. Well, I know where you're calling from, but anyway, for everybody else, where you calling from? How you doing?
I'm doing well.
And
I'm calling from Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, cool.
And all is well here.
All right, thank you. All right, back to the top. Brother John, how you doing? We know where you're calling from.
Doing great. When you come, brush up on your Spanish, and we're doing great here. And we're glad to be a part of this. I love the Matrix, and so I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Cool. I will let Brother Craig do his intro after I do the intro about the movement. I am also, well, I'm in Greater Houston. I'm in a little town called Pearland, and I am also doing fine as well. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys to give you a brief intro about the movement, what we're about, just so you have more information. And I have a very bad habit of forgetting to ask people for their email addresses. So as we are going through the review of the movie, if you hear something that piques your interest, or if you want more information about the Black Gold Nation movement, what we're trying to do, please provide your email address so we can reach out to you after it's all said and done, and we can continue to build this movement moving forward. So if I forget to ask for it, if you hear something that you like, please provide your email. I'm sharing my screen now. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yep, cool. All right. So a brief intro about the movement. What is the Black Gold Nation movement? The Black Gold Nation movement is an international organization that seeks to liberate and save Black people by establishing our own towns and cities, whereby we control the environment to make our people bigger, better, and stronger. Our belief is that it has been proven that when other people control our environment, we lose. It's been proven that when other people control certain aspects of our environment, be that political, economic, spiritual, educational, or what have you, we lose. So we believe that the only way for us to come out of this thing ahead is to put ourselves in a position by which we control every aspect of the environment. So anything that touches Black life is led by Black people who love Black people and want to see Black people survive and thrive moving forward. So that is our ultimate goal, to create opportunities for our people whereby we can establish communities, towns, cities that have influence, value, and power. And the most important thing in that environment is the Black mind, body, spirit, and psyche. Why we came to be, based on the understandings, teachings, practices, and strategies of past and current organizations that the Black Nation Movement's leadership has lived, studied, and are taught, and the need to continue doing. We build upon the successes minus the mistakes to provide our people solutions that work now, to implement a 100-year plan to build power. So we pride ourselves on the fact that our leadership has studied those movements from the past, because we want to build upon their successes, because all of them had success to a certain extent, but they also made mistakes, and we can't afford to make those mistakes because we don't have that kind of time. And we also believe, obviously, that we have to continue to do, because none of them were able to complete their work for a number of reasons. So what we're trying to do in this movement is establish and implement a 100-year plan that deals with the survival and forward progress of our people, regardless of where they live, because wherever we live, we're dealing with the power dynamic that is anti-Black, anti-us, anti-melanin. So that is a high-level overview of the Black Gold Nation movement. I am now going to turn this over to Brother Craig Lee. He will give you his brief intro and then get into our first movie review of The Matrix. Brother Craig, you got it.
We have one question, quick question. How long has this movement been in operation?
Technically, we started in November of 2016, but I do not like to take credit for that being the initial starting point, because like I said, we are not only built upon the shoulders of those who have come before us, but the foundation of this movement is based on a church I was a member of called the Shrines of the Black Madonna, which started in Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
In Detroit, yeah.
So you might be familiar, yeah. So
Yeah.
so my revolutionary training comes out of that Christian organization. Although we don't do religion, we most certainly do spirituality. So the Black Gold Nation movement started in November 2016, but what it's based upon is much older than that.
Certainly, thank you.
Cool, you're very welcome. Brother Craig?
Good morning to everybody.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. I am Craig Lee. I am the National Director for Black Gold Nation Governmental Politics Division that includes the domestic and the foreign. And I'm based out of Shreveport, Louisiana. But I got on the Underground Railroad last night and came down to Houston, Texas to see my queen, Tyra. And so this is her first call with our national movement. And I wanted her to really participate this morning because of the subject matter that we're talking about. I'm sorry, Craig. Before we get started, I apologize. Please, guys, can you please keep your phones muted? Because background noise is very difficult to speak over. It makes it hard for other people to hear. So if you can please keep your phones muted moving forward. Thank you for that. I'm sorry, Brother Craig, go ahead. Until you get ready to speak.
Of course, if you want to be heard.
Yeah, because we're going to have some real good dialogue. But just to give you a little background information on myself, I'm a native of Shreveport, Louisiana, 1989 graduate of Xavier University in New Orleans. My background is marketing, economics, spent several years in corporate America, moved back to Shreveport in 1994 as a pharmaceutical sales rep, and left corporate America in June of 1995. And for the past 25 years, I have been engaged in building a grassroots empowerment infrastructure in Shreveport, Louisiana. Tamani and I connected about three and a half years ago. And, he was, talking a few things. And over the past 25 years, I've had a chance to see pros and cons of people who desire to do grassroots empowerment for our people. And I wanted to vet him closely because I do this for real. And so he impressed me. He impressed me with the various things that he had put together. And I knew that I was working on the micro component for Black empowerment so that we could show a prototype to then build on this regionally and nationally. And one of the things that we're going to get into today is the construction of a residential or commercial building or house. You can't do that from the roof down. And so that's why my concentration has been at the local micro level, creating a physical prototype. That was the mistake that Malcolm made, King made, Garvey made. All of our movements have, including the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, all of them attempted to build nationally or internationally before they built locally. So you got to have a foundation. So I was working on the micro. Tamani had started to work on the macro since I knew we were eventually going to have a macro structure. That's how we became connected. And he's basically my long lost twin because the brother is real sharp. And so that's how we got connected. And we have some talented, very, very brilliant people who are on board with us in the various departments, and everybody can handle their weight. Before this whole coronavirus thing started, I told Brother T something that I learned from a wonderful brother, and you all need to research him. His name is Steve Coakley. Steve Coakley, Cockley. He's now transitioned, but he was known as the Human Encyclopedia. And back in 1995, I heard one of his presentations, and he made a very important point about understanding the 1% that control, the architects, the engineers who control this game of capitalistic white supremacy. He said, study not just the books, but study their movies as well, because in their arrogance, they're going to tell you in their epics, in their epic movies, how they really operate. And so I made that statement to Brother Tamani, and I said, we need to formulate a curriculum, not only around books and documentaries, but around movies as well, so that people can really start to understand based on the arrogance of them putting this in the movies. So he was like, hey man, that's a great idea. Start to put some stuff together for a movie curriculum so that you can now spearhead that. And we began to teach our people through the visual aspect and the research behind it. So that's how we got started. About a year ago, we were talking about this. So fast forward, coronavirus. And so a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Tamani said, let's start doing the movie review. And I'm like, cool. And he said, what's the first movie? And I thought about it, and I'm like, it gotta be The Matrix, because that sets the tone of what Dr. Carter G. Woodson talked about in his book, The Miseducation of the Negro. So with that, that's how we got to this particular point. And hopefully, I know a few people haven't watched it all the way through. The banks are just like me. I watched it several times, but I went back and watched it again to make notes and do even more research so that we can get further. But this movie, just giving you a basic overview, and then I want to get your perspective in a few seconds before we get into the crux of this. This movie sets the tone for what is going on right now, because the New World Order is directly underway. Because the coronavirus is a biological, right now we're in biological chemical and economic warfare. The United States versus China, Russia's involved, Saudi Arabia. That's why the gas prices are so low. So there's a lot going on right now. And if you do not free your mind at this stage in the ball game, I'm telling you right now, you're not going to be able to make it over the next 10, 15, 20 years and beyond with your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So this movie ties into everything that's going on. So we'll make different references as relates to it. So my first question is, give me, each person, an overview, just in a few seconds, your thoughts about the movie The Matrix. And whoever wants to go first.
Well, my name is Leona, and I'll go first. I'm from Colorado Springs, and I didn't see the full movie. I'm not a big movie person, so I watched portion of it last night, and I watched another portion this morning. And from what I gathered, is that living in the Matrix is somewhat like living in the society that we live in right now, whereas if you're somewhat like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or Minister Farrakhan, anyone who speaks for the Black community, this society is against and puts them down, makes them look terrible, try to destroy them as they've tried to destroy our conscious community. And that's how I saw The Matrix as, and I didn't see the full thing, but from what I did see, that's what it appeared to me, as though we live in a matrix, where if you're against anything within the system, then you're taken out of the system.
Okay. Next.
This is John. I, in a nutshell, see the movie as really a study in the contrast between what appears to be real and what actually is real, and having a sense of consciousness about what the distinctions are between the two, how easy it is to follow a cultural norms as if they are real when in fact they are not. And the movie really talks about how the two come into conflict with each other.
Perception versus reality.
This is
I see
Angela.
it, I'm sorry. I see it as you can make a choice if you want to be in the real world, which is dark and struggling and trying to be revolutionaries and come back to the norm and not to the fake. But you do have a choice as to whether you want to stay in that fake world or if you want to be a revolutionary in the real struggling underground world that's oppressed and challenged.
I'm glad she brought that word up, because we're going to talk about that word today, choice. All right, next.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, well, nothing heavy here. It's my first time seeing it a few days ago, and I was actually taken by the technical and creative aspects of it because I see a lot of things, most everything, through a Black lens. I was trying to figure out the connection, so I'm curious to hear what the dialogue's going to be. But basically, that's, I was impressed with the writing and the technical aspect of it, and curious to hear what the connection's going to be.
Okay.
This is Veronica. I agree with the sister that spoke right after John, I believe so, and also some comments that John made. We are living in a world whereas you're making a decision if you're going to live in the fantasy world or if you're going to live in the here and now. And I thought it was pretty interesting when it came to Neo. A lot of the times he was tottering back and forth, just trying to decide if he wanted to make that decision to cross over. And once he did, he was going through a process of understanding who he was as a person.
Sure.
Once he realized who he was and he was told the truth, I don't think he was really ready for that. But at that point, you have to make another choice. And when you make that choice, you know that there's going to be consequences, either to live or to not live. And I mean that literally. So he made the choice of making a sacrifice. And then when he came into his powers, of knowing what his powers really were, that's when everyone else just started to flee, because now he was conscious. You know what I'm saying? He was at the point of realizing, I not only have the power, but I have a team of people that also know their power. And with us together, we can do something great. So, you know.
Oh, next.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sister Jenny.
Okay. The Matrix. I know when I first watched it, oh gosh, years ago, I was totally clueless. I told my son, I don't know why you brought this movie here. It's so confusing. I don't want to see it no more. And then it was a number 2 or 3. I said, I don't understand 1 yet, so I'm not watching him. And probably about 2 months ago, I sat down and I watched it. And then everything opened up before me, right? And I said, now I understand. And when I think of Neo, the N-E-O, I think of the O-N-E, one, right?
Exactly.
So I'm the one. I am the one, right? You know, I'm the one. Meaning that I think when you realize that you see yourself as the one, as being the one that has been awakened to be able to see things differently than anyone else sees it. And not just see it as that, but make different moves and making things better and changing things you thought you could not change, realize your inner powers, the capabilities that you have, that you've kind of pushed aside, and someone wakes you up one day and lets you see that within you, you're capable of doing a whole lot more than you think. And then once you start the journey, there's no turning back. So that's my aspect.
All right.
This is Dawn. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you, Sister Dawn.
Okay, because I had to transfer from my phone to my computer because I was having technology issues.
No.
Listening to everyone's perspective, I was able to develop a view as well. So when if we bring it to society in our history as leaders bringing on people, I looked at it as the Matrix was that one person that everyone was looking to follow. So for instance, Malcolm X or Martin Luther King, that was that one person that everyone was willing to follow. And when they grasped enough people who understood the power that they have because of the power that that one individual who was leading the group had, the masses became scared. So therefore, that's why ultimately Martin Luther King was killed and Malcolm X was killed, because the masses became scared. They don't want someone powerful to come in and lead and formulate and make people think on their own how powerful they are and how gifted they are, and how they don't have to let someone like our current administration tell you how to think.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Next.
I think that the people were waiting for a leader to come. I mean, they had been, I don't know how long, but they have been waiting and waiting. And when they finally realized that it was Neo, they were just scrutinizing him and asking questions. Do you think it's him? You know, so they were so happy when they found out that they had a leader. Like now, I question, do we have one? It hasn't been anyone in a very long time to lead the masses of us. You know, we had Martin and he's gone, and I don't know, no one else has come up. Some great leaders as far as like political, like President Obama, but there's not another Martin Luther King unless it's us, you know. And that's what they were looking for in the Matrix, for somebody to come and lead them to the victory.
Great point. And that's where the Black-owned nation comes in. So we'll get into that as well. All right, next is everybody else talk.
I want to go last. I want to make sure no one else has anything
I
else.
think
Who
we
else?
got Monique.
I,
Was it
this is Angela. I seen the Matrix many years ago, and so I'm the one that's right in the middle of reviewing it. But
cool?
the first person that started out talked about the delusional aspect of it, and whether he was in the real world or whether it was fake. And I think that's where we are now. Some of us are waking up, but there are many that are still asleep, and we don't recognize that we have been bamboozled. And really, we are when I think of New World Order, I think of their 400 years are up, and that it's time for us. We've been wandering around in the wilderness, and it's been 400 years, and it's time for us to wake up and become sovereign and be our own leader, and where we do have to separate ourselves and become our own nation, or come back together and be Egypt. So that's what I, think of when I think of the Matrix or watch the Matrix.
Right. Sister Monique or Taisha, you guys have anything to add? I want to be the last one to go before Craig takes it back. Monique or Taisha, anything?
Hey.
Okay, Taisha.
Hey.
I saw the movie years ago, and two words came up for me when I saw it. I did not see it recently, but fear and control. Those are the two words that came up for me. And sometimes, they can incite so much fear that we lose control.
Yep,
exactly.
So that's where I stand with it. That's what I saw in it.
Powerful.
All right. Sister Monique, you have anything?
Yes. I'm not a woman of many words, but I feel like I liked when Neo came into his realization towards the end of the movie, and I feel like we as a group and as a community, we're ready to move forward. I'm ready for that point. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I really liked about watching the movie. I don't have an overall point of view on it that differentiates between what you guys have said. I totally agree with a lot of what you've said.
Ooh. Okay. I think that it's kind of hard to answer that question because the movie is so deep on so many levels, depending on your perspective of things. Even those of us who are conscious, woke, whatever we want to call it, I can write a paper on the different characters because all of them represent a different aspect of Black life and or the struggle.
Yes.
But I think the biggest thing for me, in the Shrine, we used to say that every Black child born is only waiting to discover his or her inner divinity. And every Black child is Jesus, or has the ability to be. And a lot of us forget that Jesus said, as I do, you can also do if you have faith. And that goes back to what the oracle told Neo. She told Neo he was not the one because she knew he didn't believe he was the one.
Exactly.
And when he believed that he was the one, he became the one, which means, watch out now, if we can raise our children to believe that they are the ones, all of them, then what kind of people will we become as we create a new kind of Black person, all of whom are Neo? And that was so heavy, I'm about to go to sleep. I'm about to take a nap. All right, that's it, Brother Craig, I'm done.
All right. And that summed it up. I mean, those are some good perspectives. So I had a second question, but before I get into that one, who was it who said that they were planning to move to the Dominican Republic?
Lona.
That's me, Angela.
Okay, Angela. Okay. All right. So we're going to start off with that to connect the movie, because you stated you're planning on getting out of the Matrix by moving to the Dominican Republic. Explain that to me.
Well, as John and his lovely wife stated, they're currently in Colombia. And so key things there, the cost of living is lower. They are, when we were brought out of Africa, we came by way of Spain and in the Caribbean. So all of the children are in islands. So I just happened to pick that island because I went there first time 2015, and I went back subsequently several times since, and I do have a friend that lives there. So that is the reason why I'm planning. I have several friends that live there, so that's why I plan on going there, because it's just easier living. My people are from Alabama, and it just reminds me when I go there, just the smell when you get off the plane, it reminds me of being down south. So, and the people look like me. The only thing is we speak a different language, and so I'm fastly learning Spanish.
But you say you're planning on getting out of the matrix. You are
Right.
aware that even in the Dominican or in
Yes, I recognize that's another matrix.
okay, I wanted to be sure on that.
Yes, we're all in matrices.
Okay, that's just it's a micro matrix underneath the macro matrix that is controlled by the shot callers who are part of the G8. Okay?
Exactly, and actually their government is worse than ours. And at one time, America did have their foothold, and now China has it. So I'm very much aware of the governments and who rules what. Actually, that's just one of my stops. I plan on having homes in quite a few matrices.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that, because we get a lot of unconscious pseudo-intellectual Negroes who believe by going to Africa and whatnot, they're escaping these white folks. You ain't escaping these white folks, period.
Oh, correct.
The point you're going to have to fight.
I think that's really important to understand that once we become conscious, it doesn't really matter whether we've gone or whether we're in or out. It's really about our awareness of our sense of what our purpose is. And there's a scene early in the movie that talks about the criticality of understanding one's purpose. And I think that once we get that, then we can move fluidly from one construct to the other. Correct. In implementing, executing on our purpose. And so, and what you mentioned about going to the Dominican Republic, Aisha and I lived in the Caribbean for a number of years.
Most of my life.
And the African diaspora is all through the Caribbean, all through Central America, all through South America.
The world.
And the opportunities to do what the movement is talking about is everywhere in all these places.
Yes.
All right. Good go. So we're right on the same page. The next thing that jumped out as I was hearing some of the overviews, and this sets it up before we get into the thick of this. And by the way, we're gonna break this movie down to the like the hog. We gonna eat the hoof. You know,
from the rooter to the top.
No, we gonna eat the feet, the tail. We gonna do everything on this movie. But there was a word that was used by someone, and it was like choice. And here's the question: can unconscious people make choices? I want you to think about that now, because if I'm asking you this, I'm giving you a hint that there's a trick to this. Can unconscious people make choices? Who wants to address that?
I can go first with my thoughts. Unconscious people, my dog's getting ready to start barking, I'm sorry. Unconscious people have a tendency to be followers. And it's probably, in my opinion, hard to get them out of that following perspective to become leaders. So they'll be able to make choices if someone gives them direction, and they have to be sound directions. So for instance, our current president, he has what I want to say hypnotized the group of people that are following him, and they seem to not be able to make choices. But if someone comes in, or if they realize that eventually that what he's done is not good for them, he's bamboozled them, then maybe they'll make a choice to, you know what, I can't really follow this person because he hasn't been honest with me. He hasn't steered me in the right direction. He hasn't given me the tools that I needed. He's just lied to me. And for so long, I believed him, almost like a cult sector where they are controlled by someone who knows that this person doesn't have enough education or enough sense not to know better. So they're the vulnerable person that whose mind can be taken over. Once they get out of that setting, then they'll be able to make choices. But it's how long will it take and what will it take to get that person out of that setting so that they can make choices is the question.
Okay.
I believe anybody can make choices, and who's to say, if unconscious people may not know that they're unconscious, they're making choices as people. There may not be good choices, but conscious people don't always make the best choices.
Mhm.
So yeah, I believe quote unquote unconscious people can make choices.
Okay.
I too believe that unconscious people can make choices, mainly because I was once unconscious. I wasn't always conscious, and I made choices. And as I became more knowledgeable, I was able to make better choices. And it's like Maya Angelou stated, when you know better, you do better.
I would agree with that. I think that not only can unconscious people make choices, that they actually do. They may not be aware of the consequences of the choices that they're making, but I believe they do make choices every day. We have associates, I hesitate to call them friends, who have lived around us both in Panama and elsewhere, who drink from the trough of Fox News, and they're making a choice to do that, and they believe that stream of trash that comes in, but they don't make the choice to examine other avenues or information streams. And so they live in the part of the matrix that subscribes to what's being fed to them from that trough.
Yeah.
Okay.
For better or for worse.
Okay. Next.
I would say that unconscious people make decisions every day. As a matter of fact, they make more decisions than anybody because they're swayed by the information that's given to them daily. So as soon as you hear something new, it's like, oh, I'm gonna post that. You hear something else. It's all about the sources they're getting the information from that constantly makes them make a choice. So they're constantly making choices and opinions all day long, which also sways a lot of other unconscious people to make choices based on their emotions and everything else. I would say that I teeter-totter between being conscious and unconscious because, being an emotional creature, you're constantly making decisions based on your emotions. So that's one thing you have to get under control, along with what are you basing your information on, so.
Yeah.
Before we go to the next person, Veronica used two words interchangeable with choice. She used the words decisions and opinions. We're going to come back to that because there's a specific reason why I asked this question. All right, next.
I'd like to say that as I was thinking about what Veronica just said, and she used the word decisions. I think that we can all conscious or unconsciously make decisions. I think our choices.
We can't hear her. We
I
can't
hear
hear
you.
you.
I think we can all make decisions. I think that our choices are guided by those above us. And so are we really making choices, or are we deciding between what we've been told are our choices. You know, are we freely making choices as free people, or just within the construct of the matrix? And is that really a choice?
Interesting. Next. Next.
I agree with, I'm not sure who said it, but they said it's all about the information that you're given. Like the whole aspect of me learning things right now, I can give my kids more information, if that makes any sense, give them more option to make more conscious choices.
Okay. All right. Next.
When I think about what Tarot, I believe her name is Queen, I kind of go with her. I think that there's a difference between decisions and choices. I think when you're out of the matrix or in the matrix, you're not really given choices. You're told what to do. You're told how to abide by this and what you can and cannot do. That's not a choice. They're telling you what you can do. You know, you must drive this way. You must live this way. You know, so they're telling you this is what it is, and you either go by it or not. But there is no choice, as far as I'm concerned. They already laid out the plan in which you must abide by, and if you don't abide by it, the consequences will not be good. That so when you're unconscious in the matrix, that you're not making choices. You're just being guided or directed what to do.
Next.
Good answer.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Next.
Hey,
Taisha.
hey, y'all. So I'll weigh in. What I was thinking was that it's most difficult when you're being fed information for you to decide what information is relevant. So technically, if you're unconscious, I don't think you can make a choice at all. I think the choice is already made for you. The brain, I study psychology, and what the brain wants to do is automate everything. It doesn't want to think. It doesn't want to go outside of anything, any parameters. So what we have is just a cycle of information just going around. We kind of like the children of Israel going around the mountain, period. That's what I think. Noticing.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Okay, so let me break this down. The reason I asked this question is because I hear this all the time, and I'm gonna tell you the answer by taking everybody through this test. There's a couple of things. I want everybody to unmute because I'm gonna point to you, but I want everybody to hear it so you don't know who I'm gonna point to. And I'm gonna say a word. I'm gonna give you a free test, because if everybody makes choices, then everybody is free to answer this question. Because if I ask everybody right now, can I make you do what I want you to do? Everybody on this call would say what?
No.
No.
Okay, that's great. That's wonderful.
I wouldn't say no. I would not say no. I would
Maybe.
not. I would not, because there are ramifications to that no.
All right. Okay. So
how much pain can you endure?
So when I do empowerment workshops, I start off with this thing. I ask that question, and I always prove to people, and I'm proving to you guys what I'm going to tell you after the free test, and before we really get into the thick of the matrix. I'm going to prove to you how easy it is to control a person's thoughts. And so I'm going to say a word several times. And after I say this word several times, I'm going to call out somebody's name, and you got 2 seconds to give me an answer. It's not 5, not 10, not 20 seconds. It's a word association, just like up, down, right, left, you know, something. It's real simple, okay? And so I'm gonna say this word several times, and then I'm gonna point, call somebody's name, and then you give me the answer, all right? So the first word is top, T-O-P, top, 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 top. Sister Veronica, what does a car do in a green light?
I'm starting at the bottom first.
Huh?
I'm starting at the bottom first.
Starting at the bottom first.
Okay.
I want to know what's going on at the bottom before I go to the top.
Okay.
No, you have to answer the question.
That's great.
All right. 99.9% of the people over the past 20 years, when I ask that question, what does a car do at a green light? They say stop.
Mm-hmm.
Because I programmed your mind to say stop.
Oh,
But
you
a
were
car,
saying stop.
Wait, I thought you said top.
I did. I said top.
Like top of the mountain.
Yeah, T-O-P. Top.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Mountain.
Top of the mountain.
No, but
Okay.
I asked the question. What does a car do at a green light?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that question.
We didn't hear that.
That's what I need you to listen to. So
I missed that.
all right, so you gotta listen. You gotta listen.
I heard the
It was
question.
quite clear.
So you gotta listen.
I heard the question, and I know exactly what you're talking about, because even when they do some reading on Facebook, I see a lot where it says, read this sentence, and it's missing letters, but your brain knows that it's missing the letters and it reads the words correctly.
Exactly. And it's that simple to manipulate a human mind. All right, so I got another one. No problem. We got a few.
Okay.
We was manipulating.
Yeah, and I definitely didn't hear the question.
No problem. Okay, you ready? Everybody's ready now. We ready now. All right. The next word is white. White. I'm going to say the word several times, and then I'm going to ask the question. All right.
Okay.
White. 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 White, 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 white. Sister Leona, what do cows drink?
Water, I guess.
All right, you got that right. What did everybody want to say?
Milk.
All right.
No water. I got that one last week.
Milk.
99.9% of the people over 20 years I've been doing this says milk.
Yeah.
Because I program your mind
Right.
to say what I want you to say.
Exactly.
All right. Now, think about this one. This is not what it is. So listen to the question. And this is coming to you, Nicole. How many months have 28 days?
One.
All of them.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
That's right.
I didn't say which month has 28 days.
True.
I said how many months have 28 days.
True. Right.
All of them
So
have
really,
28 days.
there are really two answers to the question you initially asked.
Okay.
Can I make you do anything?
Yeah.
And if you just say, I want you to go jump off the balcony, then, and then we happen to be on the 14th floor of the building where we live, nobody's going to do that.
Exactly.
But if you think about the strategy that is being executed in Pennsylvania,
exactly,
you can see the principle of it doesn't matter what's true. If I tell people this and over and over and over and over again, and progressively louder and louder and louder, some people are going to believe it and act on it.
Exactly. I mean, but that's what the Matrix is all about.
That's true.
Right.
And that's not only because of Donald Trump. The same thing went on with Barack Obama. A lot of people want to point the finger at Trump, but whoever gets in the White House, they are a pawn for the system of the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Period. All right. Last question. And I'm gonna give you a clue on this one. Perception versus reality, and that is what the Matrix is all about. So the question is, perception versus reality. How many seconds are in a year?
I don't know.
Perception versus reality. How many seconds are in a year?
Millions.
Can I use Excel?
Ask Google.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Alexa, how many seconds are in a year?
Cheater.
There are
Cheater.
12.
12?
12.
How so?
January the 2nd, February the 2nd.
Oh, yeah.
1 million.
Oh, boy.
Well, then it becomes a question of your definition.
Oh, second. Right.
But I gave you, Brother John, I gave you a hint. I said perception versus reality. So I asked those things because here's the thing. If you're not enlightened or conscious, people don't make choices. They make, as Sister Jenny was talking about, they make predetermined selections. So if I give you options, see, a choice is not a decision. A choice is not the option. A choice is the process of evaluating options in order to make decisions. So if you understand that a choice is a process and not the actual decision, then you'll understand what I'm saying when I ask the question, do unconscious people make choices? So most people do not make choices. They make predetermined selections because it's already been laid out. For example, are you a abortion or against abortion? Typically, that question is going to.
Are you going to kill the baby or?
Yeah, are you
or
pro-life
the
or are
baby?
you pro-choice? Right? That's what that's typically what they ask you.
Right.
Initially it was, are you pro or anti-abortion?
Okay.
Then they changed it to pro-choice because they didn't like the term for a female to say, I'm aborting, but that's what you're doing.
Right.
So they came up with a better term to say pro-choice.
Because I was confused with that as well. I was confused when they came with those two new ones. I didn't know if I was pro-choice or no choice. I was like, huh?
Exactly. But hey, you came up with an interesting thing. And then we'll get to that, no choice. So now, the anti-abortion, they had to change their language. So they went from anti-abortion to what? Pro-life.
Right.
Pro-life. Okay.
Now, the majority of the pro-lifers are actually what?
Anti-abortion.
Anti-life.
Oh.
Most of the white people who are actually pro-life will never do anything to help people once they're born.
Right.
Right.
So they're actually anti-life.
Yeah, they love the fetus but hate the child.
Exactly. So now what do we now have? We have a concept where people now are deciding between two things. But what if I told you that there's a third option.
What is that?
You created. Nicole just said no choice.
That's right.
Okay?
Okay.
So what if you are against abortion, okay, but you want the child to be born, but we know that the child is not going to good parents? What if there's another position that is between that?
Foster parents.
Exactly. Adoption. Okay? That's a whole nother option. So a person who is enlightened would not make a decision if they are against abortion, but for life, out of those two options. They would now come up with their third or fourth decision. Choice, option. So they'll evaluate it, and now they'll make the decision based on the things that they actually believe. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's get into the movie. First thing, when the Matrix first comes on, there's a computer code on the screen. This begins the movie. What is that computer code? I mean, you don't need to tell me, but when you saw that, what did that symbolize to you? And I'm glad Harlan is on the call now. We got our national egghead geek, Harlan Robinson on the phone.
Beautiful, brother.
You too old. I ain't got nobody to tell on you.
All right, the computer screen. What did y'all think when that first came up?
I thought it was coding.
Yes.
Like human coding, yeah.
It is. It
That's-
is. Sister Leona?
That's exactly what I thought. I thought this movie must be about coding this man to do things.
Ah, interesting. Brother John? With the banks?
Everybody in the Matrix.
I think in a way it kind of set the tone for where the movie was going.
Exactly.
And although it really wasn't, it's not something that you would recognize when the movie starts. You would have to kind of see that kind of retrospectively, which I think is also a part of what our experience is that a lot of stuff that we become aware of it in retrospect.
Yeah. Exactly. Anybody else?
I think it reminded me of Frequency.
Okay. All right. All right, so during that scene, Trinity and the character Cypher are talking about Neo. And in the beginning, you can hear the guy's jealousy.
Right.
You know, and he's asking, you think he's the one? You think, you know, like, you know, because you'll find out as we get into the movie, Cypher actually has a sexual interest in Trinity.
Right.
Right.
But she's not interested in it. Now, let me ask you, those who have seen the movie, why is beyond, you know, him not probably fitting the bill, why is Trinity really not interested in Cypher?
I think because she can feel that he was a creep, you know, that he was not. Yeah, I mean, you can feel out guys whether they're your type or not.
Okay.
And he was creepy from the beginning.
He was.
Yeah, even to the time he decided to be a
sellout.
A turncoat. Yeah.
A Benedict Arnold.
To throw Neo under the bus. Yeah, he was horrible from the beginning.
He was a buster from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think that we all noticed Cypher in the beginning, that he was, you could feel like a negative energy. What he was.
You remember the Oracle told her
there you go.
that she was going to have a particular person. So she had to wait because her mind was programmed.
There you go.
She had to wait for this person. knew the person was the one. Just like when we are going to get married, you know whether that person is the one
Most of the
or
time. Most of the time.
so she was told by the oracle she would
Not all
find
the time.
the one.
And,
Not all the time.
Not
and
all the
following,
time.
Some folks be trying to get linked up because they're trying to come up.
When you trying, it's not going to last.
Yeah.
Correct.
Trying,
I agree.
that's not the one.
Right.
If you know that is the one, that is your soulmate.
Mhm.
And me personally, I've only found one, and he's no longer with us, but I have not found another one. And I don't give brothers a chance because I'm looking for the one. And if
And
you
I
ain't the
think,
one, you wasting my time. But
and
my
that's one of
heart
the things.
lets me know you're the one.
One of the things I like about Trinity is that she was clear about what her purpose was, and she was not going to be distracted by anything that was not taking her to her purpose. And she followed that diligently all the way until the end of the trilogy when she finally dies. But
Exactly.
she was about identifying, recognizing,
Yes.
and empowering and
Yes.
collaborating with the one. And
Exactly.
anybody else, and Cypher was like, please get away from me. You ain't it. So don't even get in my face.
She knew Cypher wasn't the one.
She knew. And if I could just take it a step further, one of the things that I find challenging in our culture is women who allow men who they, in their deepest recesses, know ain't the one.
Right.
In the way.
Right.
And become a distraction.
Man.
And unfortunately, I'm sure we all know examples of that. But what I love Trinity's character because she was 100% dedicated to what she recognized as her purpose, and she fulfilled it all the way to her last breath.
Even her name, Trinity.
Yes.
We're about to get into that. I'm glad that came out. But yeah, Don was spot on. She had been told, and she could never tell Neo now. She could never tell him until he got them caps busted in there. She could never tell it.
Once that lead went off into it. Y'all getting off into something I don't know about now. I didn't get that.
Oh, that's what. See, you gonna like what you see when you see it as perspective.
And you got to remember too, they left us hanging at that point because she said, "I can't tell you."
Yeah.
And she got in the phone. And she left, so you didn't know if her goal was to set him up to die, or her goal was for him to be with her. You didn't know at that time what the goal was. And then when he died, she willed him back to life.
And we're gonna get into that because that's a powerful part of the movie. But she knew, and Brother John knocked that out the park. She was dedicated. Once she came into her enlightenment and tapped into her purpose, she wasn't getting with no Cypher. She wasn't getting with no Buster. And just imagine if level and now help elevate and identify those entities who are on their purpose. I mean, that would be powerful. Veronica?
I was also thinking about the information. We talked about information earlier. Who are you listening to? And where are you getting the information from? So when the orator told her, this is what's to come, she not only believed it, she stuck by it, but she also got to the point where she knew no matter what was going to happen, the information that was coming from there, it was going to be true because she said everything that the orator had said has always been
right. That's a great point. That's a great point you just brought out.
And I want to add that in the movie, there were a lot of strong women that knew their purpose, like Nairobi, who was Jada Pinkett.
Yeah.
That's the second one. That's the second one. That's not the first one. That's the second. No. That's the second Matrix.
I'm sorry, we watched too many.
So the base gonna be watching all of them.
Okay.
Like I said early on,
You might be referring to another movie too, because she didn't go.
Money
and like I said
Money Heist
early
had
on,
Nairobi.
yeah, we binge watched the movie, so we watched.
They run together.
We watched
I'm
all
sorry.
three of them back to back.
No problem. Somebody referenced the names play a huge role. So Trinity, from a Christian perspective, represented the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Right.
All right. Now, Morpheus, which is Greek for the god of dream, was actually the Father. Now, interesting how the white folks played this, because they know that the one is actually a brother, a melanated. Okay, so they couldn't have, there's a white movie, so they gotta have the one be white.
Right.
But at least they told the truth that the Father was the original man.
Right.
So they played that. And who else was the original woman?
The Oracle.
Exactly.
That's right.
So they did speak truthfully to those points, but they had the one and his counterpart being white.
Always.
But that's no problem. We can roll with it.
But you know, Brother Craig, what's interesting about that? And this goes back to one's perspective. I know Trinity, the character, is white. That's obvious. However, if you understand African history, it's very easy to see that Trinity as African people as it relates to Osiris, Isis, and Horus.
Exactly.
So it depends on your perspective and where you're coming from, because I ain't coming from the other one. I'm hanging on the black folks.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
True.
Yes, and the original the Matrix was wrote by a black woman. It was stolen.
Oh yeah, she finally got her due.
Right.
She finally got her pay.
I told Tamani that was going to come up. Tamani, how much money you owe me? Tamani owe me
Give it up to Tamani. Go on, pay him his cheddar.
He lying. We bet 2 nickels.
Now I will say this. I reached out to her. Sophia Stewart is who you're talking about. Now, I will say, after I first watched this movie back in '99, I said, no white folks didn't come up with that concept. It's too deep. It's way too deep. So I reached out to her. I talked to her. She may have written the script. She may have. She's not who she claims to be in terms of, she may have written the script. I'll just say that. But there's some mental health issues that she has as well. I talked to her on the phone. That was an interesting conversation. I'll say that. But Trinity represents the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And getting back to what Brother Tamani talked about, you get into those particular entities who really did not come from Christianity, but came from Kemet, and you can research that. But the name played a huge role. How about the name Cypher?
Oh yeah.
I thought that was interesting that they had a diabolical. Well, see, Cypher plays an interesting role because the word cipher, which is represented by the number 0, all right, it represents creation and represents the creator. But the interesting thing about that is creator is both what? Positive and negative, good and evil.
True.
You know, if you go to Isaiah 45th chapter, verse 7, in the King James version of scripture, it says, I make the light and create darkness. I create good and evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Right? So Cypher in the movie is evil.
Right.
He's a turncoat. But the zero in that cipher, as Erykah Badu said in her hit song On and On, she says, my cipher keeps rolling like a rolling stone. Oh, on and on, on and on. That is cipher. Okay. There's also, I'm going to give you all this information. A lot of the information here, they're going to attribute to this religion called Thelema, T-H-E-L-E-M-A. Although we know that this is a lie, they're pointing to this because this white boy who plagiarized a lot of comedic science, just like our good partner from Brother Tamani from the Church of Scientology. What's our brother's name? What's the white boy's name?
Some of the actor?
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard. So just like L. Ron Hubbard studied Afrocentric science, comedic science, Aleister Crowley created this Thelema. He was trained in dark magic. And a lot of what you will see in this movie goes back to Illuminati. And they put it right in your eyes because they know that the majority of people will not be able to pick up on it. So you'll hear a term called the occult, and occult simply means hidden. And what they do is hide it in plain sight. So they put it right in front of you, and you weren't able to pick up on it. I think it was Sister Jenny who earlier correctly pointed to Neo. Actually, in reverse, Neo spells one, O-N-E, N-E-O-O-N-E. So Neo was one, and I'm glad that Sister Jenny picked up on that. So those names were very important. So when you go back and look at the film, make sure that you pick up on it, okay? Now, as the codes start to break down, before they get into Neo, they zoom in. I don't know if you paid attention to it, but they zoom in to 3 numbers. Did anybody pick up on that? Right before they get to before Trinity is in the hotel, did y'all pick up on the numbers that they zoomed into? I don't even know if Brother John picked up on that.
No, I didn't notice that.
When you go back to the beginning, y'all just check it out. They're going to zoom into 3 numbers, 5, 0, and 6. The number 5 represents the microcosmos. The number 6 represents the macrocosmos. And combined with the 0, that equals the number 11, which represents the cosmos, C-O-S-M-O-S, and that's the world, universe that we're in. So I want you all to definitely study that. And then we get back to the cipher 0, which represents creation. And so you had the creator in the middle. That's why anytime you see that 0, that's actually representing the creator or creation. And you're going to see that throughout within the overall deal. Any questions on the scene in the movie?
Remember, I know what you're talking about now. I remember when I saw the 5116, they made it very large.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Exactly. All those numbers play a role.
Yeah, and they made it the ones kind of squirrely like. I remember now. I didn't pay it any attention.
Oh yeah.
Now I know.
These cats ain't playing no games in this movie, I'm telling you. They put a lot of heavy stuff in this movie.
So are they making a connection to the practice or belief around numerology?
Numerology is a part of astrology. Numerology is all a part of comedic science. And so the manipulation of the people who will study our sciences, but we won't, they're able to now come in and maneuver with numbers. So the question is absolutely yes. We've gotten so far removed from our legacy as melanated people from the continent. The evil people are studying our stuff, and they're bringing it to light.
As they call Scientology, as Keanu Reeves and Nicole Kidman and all of them in Los Angeles is Scientologists.
Exactly. And that's why I mentioned L. Ron Hubbard. They've studied our stuff and they're bringing it out through the entertainment realm by film, by movie, by film, movie, by book, by music. They're bringing all of this out. Sports entertainment, movie entertainment, literary entertainment. This is how the world, religious entertainment is influenced through this. And they gave you various keys within that overall dynamic. Several years ago, 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with gray zone lymphoma, which is a combination of Hodgkin's lymphoma and non-Hodgkin's. As the Creator would have it, I was able to navigate out of that condition. And part of that was research that I did on healing myself through alkaline water. And buying alkaline water is very expensive.
And bless you, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Appreciate you. Buying alkaline water is very expensive. So I started doing some research. I said, gotta be a way to make this more affordable. And so I was studying one night and I ran across this site, and it was revealed there that if you take baking soda, quarter teaspoon, and put it in a cup to 2 cups of water every day, you can alkalize your system. Something told me to then research the formula for baking soda.
Right.
Our people, African people, made baking soda formula back in Kemet, right? So what's my point about that? The white folks, the Europeans, came to the continent, took the formula back to Europe. The owners of Arm & Hammer got the recipe from them, and for the past 200 plus years, they've been making a product called Arm & Hammer baking soda, which they probably made over $1 trillion,
right,
based on our cultural identity. So my point to you is, this movie points to why it's important for us to go back, Sankofa, turn back, and recapture our greatness from a variety of different angles, so that we can now benefit ourselves in the 21st century and beyond. All right. The next major scene, the movie starts with Trinity in a hotel. Did y'all pay attention to what the name of the hotel was?
I don't remember.
It was real quick. Go back and check it out. It's called the Heart of the City Hotel.
Okay.
Okay.
I remember the city.
Yeah, because see, Trinity also represents love, compassion, and unity. And Brother John and his wife, they've seen all 3 movies. Brother John, all 3 movies begins with who being under attack?
Trinity.
Trinity. Trinity is under attack. So what that symbolizes the forces of evil attacking who?
The love.
The love.
That's right.
The compassion. The unity.
Love always conquers all.
Yes. Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
They put it all in front of you. Now, Now, Nicole hits on a good point. Although it's true and it's not true, we don't have a prototype of love conquering all. However, love can conquer all if we ever goddamn did it. We ain't never did it.
Never did it.
But it can happen.
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Okay? And so they're showing the possibility in the movie.
Well, they actually show it happening, although it doesn't fulfill itself until the third episode.
Exactly.
But I mean, and it follows that theme of greater love has no man or woman than this, that she lay down her life.
Exactly. But you're pretty sharp, man. You're pretty sharp.
There's so much rich stuff in that movie. We could be on this call for a year.
I know, brother. I mean, for real. But
I think this call will have to be extended for that movie.
Yeah. But let me tell you, so it starts at the heart of the city because the focus is on what of the female, her what? Heart.
Your heart.
And moving based on the heart. So that nature is boom. And you're gonna see this throughout the movie because there are certain parts after Neo is told by the Oracle, as Brother Tamani said, what he wanted to hear, which was that he wasn't the one, even though his ass was the one. Okay. He kept on jockeying back and forth because that's the process before you elevate to the next level. But he had to, at some point, roll with his heart versus his thought process, and we'll get into that. But that's where the movie starts.
He also had to massage Trinity's heart in order to bring her back to life.
And the second one, yeah. Exactly.
Second one, yeah, sorry.
You know what, Brother Craig? We should say before these calls, spoiler alerts, because we giving away all kinds of stuff.
Exactly.
After age 65, you don't remember which one was one, okay? So forgive us.
Yeah.
Amen.
So Trinity represents the XX chromosome, compassion, and unity. Through Trinity, you get unity, and she is, as I said, under attack in this movie and the subsequent movies. All right, we get to the point where she's trying to get back into the ship and get out of the matrix, but the phone line is traced, and you'll see why that is, because we know Cypher is an informant.
Mm-hmm.
And so although she gets out, it's very important what they say, the agents say. They say, damn, she got out. And Agent Smith says, no matter, the informant is real, meaning that the intel is good, okay? And that was very important part of the movie because no matter how powerful these white folks are, no matter how much technology they have, the only way that they can accomplish what they accomplish is how? Informants.
Mm-hmm.
The coons. Lord, they on my nerves.
And they're everywhere.
Look here.
Like roaches.
If you haven't read the book, The Assassination of Malcolm X, I would suggest that you get that book by George Brickman. In the back of the book, they have FBI COINTELPRO documents, okay, from J. Edgar Hoover's desk. And part of the document, they have laid out how they did what they did, but they black out the names. Why do you think they blacked out the names?
Because they don't want us to know who among us
is the informant.
That's true. And why wouldn't you want us to know their name?
So that they can keep informing.
They can use them again.
Cause they still tell it, and their kids still tell
There
it.
you go.
Kids.
Generation.
They have children.
And like the black poet said, when the revolution comes, some of us are gonna have to go too.
Exactly.
Yes.
Nicole, both of y'all are right. These people have children. They have grandchildren. And guess what they're going to do? recruit them into the system. So they don't want you to have any understanding as to who these people are. That's very important. And so the phone line was traced, and Cypher was of course known to be the informant. He was the mode. Now, when Neo comes into play, he's asleep. His computers are all around him. Did you all notice what was on his computer screen?
Wow.
Yeah, I gotta look at he was. Did you all ever see the movie with what's his name that played in Braveheart to money?
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Did you all ever see the movie Conspiracy with Mel Gibson?
Yep. Yep.
I don't think so.
Well, when Neo comes in the light, he has the computer screen up.
That's what she be doing. She
Excuse me.
And I need you guys to mute your phones, please. Keep your phones muted because you're having conversations that we can hear.
But Neo is looking at different so-called conspiracies on the computer screen. So he was searching. That's my point. He was searching. And when he is asleep, he is awakened by a message. And it said, "Wake up, Neo." And
Started with knock, knock.
Yeah, knock, knock. Knock, knock. And it says, "Wake up, Neo." And my queen said this morning, Craig, was that just wake up mean wake up, or was it wake up on a higher level? And the answer to that is yes.
It was both.
It's both. It's both. Because the next part of that message was, the Matrix has you.
Right. Heavy.
Yeah.
Heavy.
So Trinity was like, get your ass up. Time to get in the game.
And if I could go back to your previous point about both Neo and Trinity, even though Neo didn't have a sense of self-awareness, did not know who he was and his purpose yet, the Matrix knew both who he was, his role, and what Trinity and her role, and that's why they were after both of them.
Exactly.
Before they even had that consciousness.
Exactly. And what was Neo's occupation?
He was a programmer.
He worked in programming cubicle.
He's a hacker.
All right, he was both.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Well, being a hacker wasn't his occupation. That was his hustle on the side.
Yeah. Right. He got that He got that $2,000.
Was a program.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Neo was in the governmental structure of the Matrix. He was a computer program. In the underworld structure of the Matrix, he was a hacker. And when you get a chance to meet our good brother Harlan, who that's part of his department, and getting into currency and cryptocurrency, this is what he was doing as a hacker. Okay, you better get to learn to know these eggheads. You better get to learn to know these technocrats, because they're about to be the stars for our people coming in the 21st century. Harlan, did you check out, what is your take on that particular scene?
Yeah, I totally agree with everybody's take on it. That there was the thing that I've since learned about the Matrix is I used to buy this guy's stuff, and his name was Cliff, and he kind of like put the idea in my head on this computer science called predictive analytics.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he was doing in the early days of the internet is his basic premise is that human beings were psychic on a subconscious level. So what he was trying to do was to tap into the collective unconscious by creating almost like word diagrams, right? And then if you can assign certain words a weight and then watch the rates of change, right? Calculus, how things change over time, you can predict certain things. So to me, that I think that's how the Matrix identified Neo before he knew who he was. By using predictive algorithms, because remember he was the last. He comes from a certain. He wasn't the only one. He was the seventh one. So they already had a model, right? They already had a model, and they knew what to, and
spoiler alert.
Right, they already had so the computer probably built a model and was, had spiders crawling the matrix looking for him or anyone that fit that model, because they know they've had 6 examples of how this person's going to grow up, what type of vocation they're going to have, what type of skills they're going to have, different things like that. And so yeah, that's what I recently saw after I watched it again, because I wasn't aware of the science of predictive analytics.
And you can see some of that in the character, the architect. He reveals how what you're describing in terms of predictive analytics was built in to the structure of the matrix.
And that's a number 2.
Let me can I add on to that, Brother Craig?
Yeah.
Very important for us to understand and realize as adults that within this system, there are always predators hunting for our children, all of whom are the one. And we have to remain vigilant and put layers of security around them, because the system does not want them to realize who and what they are.
Exactly. All right, so the message goes on to tell Neo to follow the white rabbit. And then there's a knock at the door, the computer screen goes off, he's blown away. And it's obviously blew Neo away because he's a hacker. So he's like, how the hell have I gotten hacked? So now he goes to the door, and I know you all didn't pick up on this, but did you all see what the number was on his door?
Didn't see that.
Man, y'all better go. Yeah, movie, man, I'm trying to
It was the numbers that they showed in the beginning.
Was the infinity. Now the next set of numbers is on Neo's. What was it, Sister D? Hold on, you gotta unmute yourself.
I said it was the 506. Was it the 506?
It was
No.
101, which
There you
is
go.
data.
It was
It's data on and off.
116.
It's
It was,
machine
it was. Sister D, say it again, Sister D.
It's machine code, 1s and 0s. It's either
Woo!
on or off.
Woo!
Oh.
Sister D coming up.
Yeah, and looking at it too, not just numerology, but also from a metaphysical point.
Woo! Come on, girl.
We are looking at different dimensions. And when we say the universal mind, the Most High, God, knows who we are, but we have free will. So that's why you can't know necessarily. Ego gets in the way. You have to be led with the heart.
Sister D, I'm gonna say. Okay, Sister D, since you hit that one correct, let me see if you got this. When he opened the door, how did he open the door? How did Neo open the door?
Which door? The front door? I mean, when he answered it for
when
the
he
white
answered
rabbit?
the door, yeah. How did he open it?
Yeah, use the doorknob.
Yeah, he used the doorknob. But when he opened it, how did he open it?
He cracked it open.
I can't.
He cracked it open, true.
He cracked it. When he saw the white rabbit, he opened it all the way.
Before he saw the white rabbit, how did he crack it open?
Oh, he cracked it open and reached out instead of opening it wide open.
Slowly.
He opened it slowly. He opened it with one eye exposed.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Wow.
One eye exposed.
That's a symbol. That's a Masonic symbol for the third eye.
I feel like I'm in
I
the
think that's
class.
I don't know about that one.
Oh yeah, go back and check it out.
I believe that part, but I don't know if he was conscious that he did it. Did he look through the people?
No, it's not that he was conscious. It's the writers of the
Writer that directed him to do that.
Yeah. See, so they're giving you symbols in the movie. But let me mess you up even deeper. Before when they knocked on the door and he answered it with the one eye, because you'll see it when you go back and see it, you'll see this eye is like this. It's like this. You don't see the left eye, you see the right eye.
It's true.
And you see the 101. Now check this out. Sister D is on point, but check this out. The 101 in Masonry represents the Temple of Solomon. Okay? And so 101 equals 2. And there are 2 pillars, Baaz and Jachin, accompanied by the central brazen sea. So that's a Masonic element, right? And so it also symbolizes the entrance of the holy hides. And this symbolizes the beginning of one's esoteric and agnostic journey into self-actualization. They put all of that in that 101. And the white rabbit that they told him to follow symbolizes Alice in Wonderland's does the rabbit hole go?
Right.
Because he's being told to follow the rabbit. Okay, so this is symbolism. Now, let me see, D, since you picked up that on that 101, he told the guy he was 2 hours late. And the guy wanted a program, right?
Right.
Now, what did he go and get the program out of?
He had it in a box, like a cigar box.
You sure it was a cigar box?
Well, it was a box.
It was a book, the Seth book. The Seth book.
Okay.
Who said it was a book?
I did, Angela.
Okay, Angela, what book was it?
I think it said S-E-T or S-E-T-H, something like that.
Oh, you getting there, you close. It was S-I-M-U-L-A-C-R-A, Simulacra.
And it has symbols on it.
Yeah, Simulacra and Simulation. Now let me show you how heavy this is. Simulacra and Simulation is a 1981 philosophical treatise by sociologist Jean Boutrier, in which the author seeks to examine the relationships between what? Reality, symbols, and society. In particular, the significations and symbolisms of culture and media involved in constructing an understanding of shared experience. Y'all
and then right to the rabbit.
Go back and check it out. You're gonna see, Brother John, you're correct. He went and got it out of something, but he had carved out a section in the book
Mm-hmm.
And why did he put these things in a book?
If you want to hide something from people.
Exactly.
Please, because we don't read.
We do. I'm right.
Okay.
A lot of people don't.
But go back and check that out. And I didn't do the research on, because he asked the guy gave him 2,000. So that number 2 is very important. So again, he goes back. I don't know if the 3 zeros with the 2 impacts, but at the end of the day, he let it be known, if you're caught with this program, you know what to say. You don't know me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's obvious that there's a heavy police state going on at that particular point. All right, so he goes to the club. All right, he goes to the club, and that's where he first meets Trinity.
Hey,
Can
Brother
I
Craig,
raise a question? Can I raise a question?
Yeah.
Hold on a second, Brother John. Brother
Okay,
Craig, I apologize in advance. We did not discuss this, but we're coming up upon the 2-hour mark. So I don't know what our timeline is, but I have a presentation at noon. So we might want to get ready for part 2 moving forward. Just FYI.
All right, cool.
Go ahead, Brother John.
I just want to raise a question about Neo before we move from him. We talked about the fact that he was a hacker. I've worked in IT for a number of years, and there are 2 flavors of hackers. There are white hat hackers and black hat hackers. Which type was Neo?
I think he was a positive white hat hacker, but he worked against the government, so the government probably say he was a black hat hacker.
It depends on your definition of white and black hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the part of the conflict also, is that depending on where you stood,
exactly,
Leo was either a white hat or a black. And a black hat hacker is somebody that goes in with bad intent intrudes purposely into somebody else's system. A white hat hacker intrudes into somebody else's system on purpose, usually with the owner's permission, to look for a way to find out how it's vulnerable so that they can protect themselves. And it's interesting that Neo could, depending on where you stood, he could be either one or the other.
Beautiful.
Right. Yeah, so it's like one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Depends on your perspective.
Boom. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Amen.
I had something just at the very beginning when you started. I had just started about the knock knock on the computer screen. And if you notice, there was no audio.
No.
And he was asleep, so how could he read it?
Exactly.
But when higher consciousness speaks, it's the small, still voice.
Yep.
And the small, still voice woke him up and gave him direction.
Yeah.
Told him about the white rabbit. And so we have to wait. And to me, that's waiting for it to materialize and then know what to do. Again, back to your stand on purpose.
She said, be still and know that I am God.
Yes. Yes. That is it exactly.
All right, we have a church.
They now meet, and she, of course, now starts to have the conversation of what's he's been searching for forever, and that's what is the matrix. And so this begins the process, and so they have that overall discussion. That's not that big of a deal, but that's something to point out. Of course, he wakes up the next morning. I didn't go back and research the number 9:18 because that's what time he woke up. So I'll go back and research that. But just FYI, when you go back and check it out, make sure you look at every detail that has a number in it, because it's going to tell you a lot. He goes in, he's late to work that day, and his boss is giving him the spiel. And although I didn't find any research material on the scaffolding, other than it was going to be used as a potential escape later on in that scene. But you can hear the scaffold workers out there, and his boss is telling them, you know, hey, you feel like you're privileged in the whole nine, and everything is on point regarding that.
I think that had to do with the veil. If you notice, when Neo looked at the window, it was soap on the window.
Yeah.
And between us and higher dimensions, we cannot see without our higher selves.
True.
So when they cleaned it, he was now going to be able to see past the veil out of the matrix.
True. And the glass in higher science represents the ability to see beyond where you're at. So yeah, you bring, because it's a great point that you brought out with that, because I didn't see that, but yeah, what you just said makes total sense. Okay, oh, the 918, we just found that. 918 also encourages you to expand your personal spirituality and spiritual pursuits. And if you feel the inclination to begin and expand a spiritually based practice, career or profession, or heart-based service or project, angel number 918 indicates that now is an auspicious time to do so. So that's interesting, that's what time he woke up to go into work, because that was his last day at the damn job. He was going to begin his journey whether he liked it or not on that day. Of course, this is the scene where the agents come into the building, and he gets the FedEx package from Morpheus. It has the phone. Morpheus guides him. Morpheus tells him there are only two ways out of the building. He goes out of the building, and he's on the ledge. What does the ledge symbol? Well, yeah. What does the ledge symbolize?
Fear. Fear.
Oh yeah, fear is definitely there. It represents being trained on a very high level, kind of getting back to Sister D's point, before you're ready. See, he was now up high, and he wasn't ready for all this.
The moment of truth.
The moment of truth. Morpheus says you can go out on that scaffold when that phone fell.
That's a long way down.
Seeing Neo's ignorance as it relates to the power of the government, because he's talking about a damn phone call, and Agent Smith says, what good is a phone call when you can't speak?
Right.
And that's the symbolism of basically shutting down the voices of people being able to confront the system. Neo initially was kind of arrogant. He gave him the finger, and once they let it be known, hey man, we don't have to allow you to do anything, but you're gonna help us one way or the other. And of course they put the tracking device inside of it. So that takes us to when he wakes up again, and they're playing the story between him being physically awoke and then him being asleep. So they're going back and forth up and until that point. And so now is where they maneuver, and he's now called again. It's time to maneuver, and he gets the call from Morpheus to now meet. And of course he goes under the bridge, and now he meets Trinity and the other two individuals. And did you all notice what kind of night it was?
Rainy night.
What does the rain and water symbolize?
Cleansing, right?
Exactly.
What was that?
Cleansing.
Water in the spirit in scripture typically represents spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. Spiritual cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was getting ready to undertake. And so once he gets in the car, of course they tell him, take your shirt off. He doesn't understand.
Right.
And he's like, hey, well, just let me out. Trinity, that calming spirit, now stops him. It's like, hey, Neo, you've been down that road before. So he looks down the dark road, the darkness, okay? And you don't want to go down that road. And so, of course, he now submits. They put the electromagnetic pulse weapon on him to find the tracer that's been planted inside of him.
Yeah.
He didn't know that initially, but they get that out of him. And of course, they take him to the hotel, which is one of the most powerful scenes. But while they're in the car, they reference him with a very important term that came to be used, copper top. Did y'all pick up on that?
When he's talking to Morpheus?
I don't remember hearing that.
When he's talking to Morpheus, Craig?
No, the female, female in the front seat.
Which is Trinity.
Oh, right. She's talking about, yeah, okay. She was talking to Neo. She called him copper top.
The female called, the blonde hair female.
Switch.
Copper
Switch.
Click.
Switch.
Switch.
Switch, yeah.
Yeah, Switch called him copper top.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all pick up on why?
I think I know why. I think I know why. I think she calls him. I think she calls him copper top in reference to what Morpheus is going to relate to in the conversation about him being a battery. You're simply a battery, a copper top that the machines are using.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're just a tool by the man.
You just exactly. And that is the slang term for battery, which of course he does find out. They go to the hotel, and in this hotel scene with Morpheus, hey, Trinity tells Neo, he knows more than you could ever even imagine. So just be honest within that overall deal. And of course they meet, and there is a powerful discussion, and I'm just gonna read, I took a snapshot of that so you can hear this powerful discussion that they had. I mean, it's absolutely fascinating. So Morpheus says, let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. And that's, when you start to really tap in, a lot of us already have that perspective, but we don't know what to do with it. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. It is the feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about? Neo says the Matrix. And Morpheus says, do you want to know what it is? Mm-hmm. The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us, even now in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. And Neo says, what truth? Morpheus now says that you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch, a prison of your mind, for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. And in this research, it says in the last paragraph, Morpheus is basically telling Neo that he is a mind-controlled slave, and the Matrix is so horrifying that words cannot describe it, and therefore he needs to see it with his own eyes to know what the Matrix actually is. And of course, this is where he offers Neo the blue pill or the red pill. What does the color blue represent? Passive energy. The color red represents active energy. So there's a reason why the red was placed in that. And like I said, Morpheus is the god of dreams. And so needless to say, Neo decides to go with the red pill, and because he wants to know the truth. And as he now gets the red pill, now he goes in through being a reborn process because he's stripped naked. As they always say, you came into this world naked, you'll leave naked. And so he's now reborn, goes through the canal.
The birth canal.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
birth
sir.
canal.
That's right.
Farrakhan talks about the triple darkness of the female womb. So he goes through the birth canal, and now he's reborn, and now he gets a chance to see all of these other pods with all of these humans being incubated for energy, because earlier the top reference was for the battery, the energy. And so, of course, this is the AI is being revealed. They're harvesting humans for electricity. And Morpheus tells him he didn't believe it at first until he actually saw it. And all of this was a byproduct of our dependence on artificial intelligence, where now artificial intelligence came to take over the world. And the only thing that white folks felt that they could do was to now use nuclear weapons to destroy them, but it also destroyed the sun. So the AI, artificial intelligence, began to use humans for their energy. And that's what because we do have electricity and whatnot in our bodies. We are an energy source. All right, y'all cool up to that point?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, so now once Neo goes through the rebirthing process, he's awakened.
I got a question.
Okay.
Right quick. How long will we continue with this?
We're gonna finish with the next 30 minutes.
Okay.
Actually,
hold on. We can't do another 30 minutes, brother. I got to get ready for the presentation.
I know you got to get ready for your.
Yeah, but if I log off, this
20?
ends. What?
I know. Is it 20? Can you give me 20?
I can give you 15. That's half of 30.
All right, 15. All right, 15.
Right. You know, Brother Craig is a preacher. He can be talking all damn day.
All right, we're gonna do this in 15 minutes.
All right, come on, brother.
So bam, he comes out. He comes out. He comes out. He's under the light. He has all of the acupuncture needles in him because his muscles have atrophy.
Right.
All the circles represents information that's going to be going to his different body parts, including his head. All of this is going to be programmed into him. But he asked Morpheus a question. Did y'all pick up on that question? He asked Morpheus,
why do my eyes hurt?
Why do my eyes hurt?
Right. And Morpheus says, because you've never used them.
What did Morpheus tell him?
Because you've never used them.
Never used your damn eyes before. And what is he talking about really, Brother T?
Who talking about?
Morpheus. What eye is he talking about?
I'm thinking the third one.
Exactly.
Physically and the third eye.
Exactly. And so that is very important within that overall deal. So in the next scene, as Morpheus is briefing him, he said that Neo believes it's 1999, but it's closer to the year 2199.
Right.
But he doesn't really know. He tells him about the the Nebuchadnezzar, the overall ship. And he also makes a very important statement as it relates to his debriefing for Neo. Morpheus tells him it's always a practice, never free of mind once it reaches a certain age, because it typically will drive a person crazy. But he had to be on this journey, so that's something that we need to consider. The older you get, the harder it is to deprogram yourself and to unplug from the matrix. Right. It's very difficult. I mean, for real. And so Morpheus says in that as long as the matrix exists, humans will never be free. We get to the next part where Tank is preparing Neo to learn the computer programs. He gives you an understanding of learning Kung Fu. He's gonna learn a whole bunch of things. And within that program, he's fighting Morpheus. And although he has skills that he's learned, he hadn't freed his mind. So Morpheus lets him know, it's not that I'm bigger or I'm faster, you just gotta let your mind go. And that's a process. It doesn't just happen.
Yep.
And so the two things that Morpheus said that prevents him from tapping in was fear and doubt. So whoever talked about fear in the beginning and control, that's what this movie is all about. The next point, we get to the cipher scene with the agents. They're working out his contract to sell out. He says something very important. He says, I know this steak that I'm about to eat is not real.
Right.
He said, ignorance is bliss. Cipher said, I'm tired of struggling, goddamn.
That's right. I don't want to remember nothing.
I don't want to know a goddamn thing. As a matter of fact, I want to be rich and I want to be a goddamn famous.
Yeah, I want to be somebody. That's right.
Yeah, I want to be somebody.
Right.
So Brother T, what do I always tell you? Money, status.
That is materialism. Yes, sir.
That's what Cipher was basically saying.
Yep.
So he was ready to sell everybody out because he was tired of eating that damn oatmeal every day. He said he wanted to stay. He said he wanted to stay.
It's the age-old story of the pride of life.
Exactly. All right, so as we hurry up and get through this, he decides to take him to go see the Oracle. As we've already said, the Oracle is Black female that represents the original woman. But as they were heading to the elevator, do you all remember the scene before they got on the elevator?
Hey, Brother Craig, real quick, before you get to that, if you have not thought about it, I want Brother Harlan to speak about it. But that situation with the young kid and the spoon.
We coming to that. We coming to that. Next.
All right, my bad. Okay, go ahead.
All right. We ready to get to it.
Okay, cool.
Because Harlan made a good post the other day about that. That's
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, but there's a point before you get to the spoon part. Did anybody pick up on that before they got on the elevator?
What Morpheus said to him, or no?
See, y'all missed it. There's a man sitting on a bench.
Oh yeah, a man
with
with
appears to be blind.
Exactly, and they nod to one another. Yeah.
Well, how the hell you gonna nod if he can't see?
He used his third eye. He felt his energy. I don't know.
Represented Hindus who don't believe in the coming of the one.
Oh.
So he's blind. He's blind to that fact. So go back and read. Yeah, that's why he's there.
I thought he was security.
I'm telling you, they got symbolism all through that. So they get on the elevator, they come
I thought
up.
he was homeless.
No,
he ain't homeless. He ain't homeless.
He wasn't homeless. It's symbolism. And so they go up, and what do they call? The female introduces them, come on in, Morpheus, Neo, and they tell them to wait in the room. What do they call those children?
Potentials,
yeah.
Potentials. And so now we get to Harlan's part. Harlan, take over as it relates to that part.
Neil comes into the room and this kid is playing with a spoon, and the spoon is bending itself. And then I get, if I remember correctly, he asked him, how are you bending the spoon? Or maybe I think the kid just starts talking, and then he says, you cannot bend the spoon, that's impossible. But you simply
In time.
Exactly. So Neo goes to meet the Oracle. They have their dialogue, and Neo doesn't pick up on it, but the Oracle says, you know what I'm going to tell you, right? And Neo says, I'm not the one.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even pick up on it. It's not that he wasn't the one. He believed he wasn't the one. So the Oracle told him what he wanted to hear, that he wasn't the one.
What he was prepared to hear.
Exactly. He was prepared to hear that, because he wasn't prepared. And that's what got him what he needed. Did you all see what was over the door? She pointed to that. It was in Latin.
Right.
Yeah, what about it?
It was temet nosce, know thyself.
Mm-hmm.
Temet nosce, know thyself. That was over the door when he walked in to meet the Oracle.
Which is interesting because that doesn't derive from Latin. That's an Egyptian phrase, which is African.
Oh, well, you know, anything that's coming from Latin and Greek is coming from us.
That's right.
But,
That's right.
But that's what they say. Temet nosce. I doubt if that would have been our actual wording, but
right.
Thyself is what they were pointing at. Now they go to the part where they're trying to get out of the Matrix, and Neo sees the black cat twice.
Mm-hmm.
And now they learn that Cypher has set him up, and this is where we're now getting into the ultimate aspect. So we get into the death scene with Cypher killing everyone but Neo and Trinity, and he says, hey, if he's supposed to be the one, there's no way that I can take him out.
Right.
And of course, Tank wakes up from being shot and is able to take him out. And so that gets us to the last part of the unplugging scene. Neo is starting to get it. Neo believes that he can save Morpheus after they've taken Morpheus, but doesn't believe that he's the one. And that's very interesting, because he goes back to the conversation that he had with the Oracle. So he believed that he could save him, but he still didn't believe he was the one. I thought that was very profound.
Because as far as the conversation with the Oracle went, he concluded that he was not the one.
He was not the one.
And when he said he was not the one, she did not disagree.
She
with
did not. Yeah, she didn't dispute it. She didn't dispute it, because he was gonna have to find out on his own.
Which, yeah, right.
Okay. So we get to the Smith scene with Morpheus, and Smith tells the truth. Humans are not mammals. He said they're a virus. They're
virus.
killers.
That's right.
He said must spread and destroy.
That's right.
Versus living in harmony with the environment.
That's it. That is it.
And that's true. I ain't gonna lie to you. So now we get to this scene where Trinity and Morpheus Trinity and Neo come to save Morpheus, and Morpheus, of course, they save him, and Morpheus tells Neo about knowing the path and walking the path. Because he catches Trinity from the helicopter, and he lets it be known, and he say, "Hey, man, yeah, don't even talk to me. I ain't got nothing to do with it. You got to know the path. There's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. So you got to walk the path, and ultimately you're going to know the path." Let me see here. The scene where, okay, the first fight scene with Neo and the Agent Smith, and now Morpheus is back in the Nebuchadnezzar with Trinity and Tank. He says to him, he's beginning to believe. Neo doesn't run, he fights. And though he's kind of defeated, he's not killed there. He fights and runs afterwards. He runs back. You all go back and watch this. He runs back where, Brother John? To the heart of the city hotel.
Right.
The film begins with the hotel and it's ending with the hotel. So the second fight, what room do they go in? 303. 303.
303, okay.
It starts in 303, it ends in 303. And that's the number 6, as we've talked about, but that's the Trinity as well. So it's in this particular scene that he's shot several times and he dies. Oh, let me say something about that number 33. That's the 33rd in Masonry. 33 represents the 33rd degree. And that is the level that you now leave your unconscious perspective, because in Masonry, the majority of people who are rolling with Masonry started out as Christians in this country. And then at the 33rd, you now go into Islam. But they can't tell you that when you first start.
Right.
So at the 33rd degree, this is where he dies. He dies the Christian death, and now he's what? Reborn.
Right.
He's shot multiple times, and he died physically. But now, who saves him?
Trinity.
And she saves him with what?
A kiss.
Apparently a kiss.
That indicates what? Huh?
She loves him.
Loves. There you go.
Love.
Yeah, love. There you go. The love now conquers all.
Yes.
He done been shot in his ass about 20 times.
Hey, I got a little story about. I could tell it real quick. I got a little story about love. It's this story about this 3 men were out in the cold. It was very cold and they was hungry, and they knocked on the door and asked the lady if they could help, if she could help. She said, I have to talk to my husband first. And they said, well, let your husband know that only one of us can come in. One name was Wealth, one's name was Peace, and one name was Love. And so she went back and told her husband, it's these 3 people outside. They starving, they cold, and they want to know if they could come in, but only one can come in. And they discussed it. She and her husband discussed who would come in. So she went to the door and said, okay, we'll let Love in. And all 3 of them came in the door. And she said, I thought only one can come in. And they said, well, since you chose love, love conquers everything. And so everybody could come in.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
Hey, Brother Craig, let me add on to that, because can we say that was it love that brought him back, or was it love coupled with her faith in him and her belief that he was the one? Those 3 things is what brought him back, because love isn't always enough. You got to believe.
So this morning as we were watching it, I said that scene symbolizes if a sister who is rooted in her purpose and connects with a brother who is rooted in his purpose, and he believes that this sister believes in him, man, that dude feels like he can move mountains.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what? And you know what? You know what? I have raised my 2 daughters to believe that they have the power to help change the community, because brothers would do whatever to get with them. Yeah. And as a result of that, they had to deal with some brothers calling them all kind of names, but they're like, whatever.
Exactly.
No doubt. No doubt.
Exactly.
I took something different from that scene. I guess it comes from my own personal experience. I lost my temper once, and the only person that could like short circuit my thinking in that moment, right? Or in that moment in which he thought he died, but he was actually in the chair, right? The only person who could short circuit his thinking would be somebody who has that connection with him.
Mhm.
So that's what that's what I took it to mean. Like, that was the only person in that moment who could short circuit my thinking.
Because their connection was strong.
Because the connection was strong.
Yeah, I can dig that. Yeah, I can dig that. And as a matter of fact, let me take it one step further at the risk of extending this damn phone call. My background as it relates to how all this stuff is going to work if we're going to do anything is that we have to work together as a group. If you don't have the right group, then you're not going to be able to discover who and what you are and do what you need to do. So if it were not for Morpheus and Trinity and Cypher even, and some of the other people in the group, Neo would have never become Neo.
Exactly.
Because it takes that group. And the group is what? The community?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Teamwork.
You're absolutely correct. And so, again, he's now reborn. Or let me say that again. He was already reborn. He's now resurrected.
There you go.
He's resurrected. Okay? He's resurrected. And now, everything that Morpheus said in the beginning, where he said, hey, when it's your time, you're not going to even have to run from the agent.
That's right. That's right.
Now, this is where the powerful scene comes in.
Come on.
Now they shooting at him, and he just put his hand up, and he's like, I'm running. He's going to stop all these bullets right here, baby.
That is right.
And now what happens? He's now able to see the codes.
Right. The real world.
There you go. He's able to see the reality of their design, their coding construct for everything. And now how do you destroy the enemy? You go inside of him, and now you destroy him from within, and he took out all of his power. And of course, the other agents had to run. They said, let me get the hell up out of here. I want to save my program. And so we get to the final scene, and we talk about the system failure of the Matrix. Now, there's one thing that Neo says in closing that I didn't agree with. He said that we're looking for a new world with no rules, no order. Well, you got to have rules and order.
Chaos, right?
Yeah. Structure has to exist. The trick is, and this is Brother John, Sister Banks, when you all were asked about the organization BGN, we now are talking about grassroots people for the first time in world history being in control of governmental policy at a local level, so that we can now set a paradigm of what this really is, not to oppress people, but to create a structure whereby people can now come in to their purpose and come into their, self-actualization and help improve the world. That doesn't exist. It has never existed, even on the continent, because good people typically allow people who have a little bit more intellect to get into the more structural things, because a lot of people just don't want to have the responsibility and accountability to handle their daily lives. They leave it up to other people. And then they complain when other people tell them what to do and how to do it. So we're trying to get grassroots people to now participate in their own empowerment. So yeah, we got to have rules. Yeah, we got to have order, but it has to be done from an ethical and moral perspective. And with that, that's the end of the Matrix. I told Brother T I would finish up in that 15-minute time span. I think we're good. But I encourage you guys, rewatch the movie. with this eyesight. I'll send you a couple of links to help you read through some of the information. There's some things that this guy hits on in the research that he missed a few points, but he did a pretty good job on it overall. He didn't talk about the blind man. It's a few things, but he does a pretty good job of breaking some of the symbolism down. And then that book that I told you guys about, I'll send that link as well to Brother T so he can get it to everybody. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Any final comments from the group?
Just to go back to what you were saying about Neo when he was in the interrogation room and how he wanted his phone call, and the agent Smith said, well, what's good of a phone call if you can't speak? I think that's representative of how people in general feel voiceless, like they don't have a voice.
Yeah, good point.
And
good point.
and that's part of what contributes to what Lawrence Fishburne was saying about Morpheus was saying about the thing in your mind that drives you crazy.
The splinter. Yeah. The splinter, yeah.
The splinter in your mind.
Splinter in your mind that drives you crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two are connected.
Yeah. And now, Brother Jay, with social media, interestingly enough, a lot of people don't need to speak.
Oh, amen. Lord have mercy. Good point. Good point.
A lot of people are retarded, man. I'm just gonna be honest.
Well, uninformed, I think, and ignorance is really a dangerous thing.
Some of them retarded, though, Brother Jay. Some of them retarded.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Because with this whole Corona thing and the whole 5G and by the way, the 5G connection is made in this film, and Harlan will be able to speak on that probably at a later time. The computer systems that they're talking about in this movie, quantum computers.
Mm-hmm.
And Harlan, can you speak on that briefly about quantum computers?
I kind of zoned out for a second. What do you want me to say about quantum computers?
Can you just give an overview of that?
Well, basically, it's we're moving towards a different level of computing horsepower by, I don't know, another 1,000 factor, because you don't have you know what, I guess a better analogy would be, say, I think we're heading more towards organic computers, or computers that function more like the human brain.
Yeah.
And to do that, they have to re-architect the way that computers are made. And we now have the technology to enable us to design things at the microscopic or the nanoscale. So that would be 9 zeros to the right of the decimal point. So 3 would be milli, right?
Mm-hmm.
Six zeros would be micro,
mm-hmm.
or that little U symbol, and then the next 3 is nano. Right. So we're starting to move in that direction, and that opens up applications that we can't, that we currently have limitations on now, like like the speed of light problem. Things like that can get solved, or like you can run simulations on weather, because you can run 1 billion different transactions per second in multiple different instances, all simultaneously at the same time. So it does it mimics the parallel processing of the brain. That's kind of like what quantum computing will do. It'll allow you to process information at a much faster rate than the human brain, but it's architected like the human brain.
And that is the basis of the matrix, the quantum computing, and they from one document I read, the government's been using this since 1970, and so they are so far advanced. So when people are talking about 5G causing coronavirus, that's why I'm saying, Brother Jay, some of the people don't need to be speaking, because what they're doing is confusing a lot of folks within the overall dynamic. Now, all of this technology will bring its health, negative health impacts, radiation being one of them, and other negatives. But the technology in and itself doesn't cause, an actual virus. But this movie is talking about exactly what Brother Harlan is mentioning, the plethitude of applications that will be able to be used by technology. Anybody else?
And the 5G technology provides the communications bandwidth, so that all that parallel processing can connect and talk to one another across space. Yes.
Exactly.
Well, there was a book written years ago called WW Watch, and after I got done reading it, I went back and I was pulled something out of the book Metu Netter, and so I was thinking that if you could network the Internet of Things, right, is basically every computer chip on Earth networked.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So if you take that and you take away the resistance of copper, right, such that things can move instantaneously, the premise of the book was that, okay, we now have a organism that is sufficiently complex to allow a consciousness to emerge. So yeah, so the emergence of almost like a baby, right? Where does your consciousness come from, right? And so a lot of ancient literature points to the fact that, we choose to incarnate in the human bodies because it's sufficiently complex for you to express yourself, right? And to evolve. And so that could be the basis of where the Matrix actually comes from, or maybe that movie hasn't been written yet.
Anybody else? All right. Well, Brother T, you can close us out, brother. Thank you guys for your participation.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Craig. Before I close out, are we going to do the second Matrix next week, or you have another movie in mind?
We'll do another one. We'll do a different one.
A different movie or the second Matrix? Which one?
Different movie. Different movie.
All right. So as soon as Brother Craig lets me know what we're doing next, I will most certainly put that out there. And I will be doing that both on Facebook and via the website. So if you want to be a part, make sure you state that you are coming when you get the invite on Facebook, or go to the website and register, which is our events website is www.blackgold-wakandarising.com. blackgold-wakandarising.com. That's the events website. If you don't know about the Black Gold Nation movement, you want more information, the main website is blackgoldnation.com. blackgoldnation.com. So with that, I want to thank you guys for being a part. I think for our first movie review, it went extremely well. I'm pleased with the people that showed up, the information that was exchanged. Of course, Brother Craig's expertise, understanding his intellectual capacity. The brother's awesome. And again, as he said in the beginning, he is over our national political strategy and implementation department, and Brother Harlan is over our economics and finance department. Very, very, very important that you guys understand and realize that we're not just talking. We don't have these events and these presentations because we want to give you information and then say goodbye. We are trying to find the right Black people to help us do what needs to be done so we can put our people in the position to win. And we cannot win if we don't own and or control the environment, because as I said initially, when we allow other people to own or control the environment or any aspect of that environment, we lose, period. And we lose because to them, the black mind, body, spirit, and psyche does not matter.
Right.
So we can either continue to trust and believe that someday, one day, they're gonna do right by us, or we can get hip to the reality of this matrix that we're born into and decide to be different, because we are all, Neo, but no Neo can exist without a group. So as I say in all of our presentations, if we don't have the right black people involved and the right black people supporting it, then we're gonna lose. I don't care how smart you are as an individual. No one can do this by themselves. So with that, again, thank you guys for being a part. If you have not left your email, please do so I can reach out to you. And stay tuned to the Facebook page and or the website, because that's how we advertise our stuff. So with that, I'm gonna ask Brother Harlan if he has anything to say, since he is also national leadership, since Brother Craig has already given his closing. Brother Harlan, you have anything you want to say at all about anything in particular?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. All right, so with that, remember two things. I like to close out our events and my presentations with, always remember that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely, always remember that nothing is more sacred. Not me, not you, not your kids, not my kids, not my family, not your family. Nothing is more sacred than the liberation and salvation of black people. Because if black people don't make it, you're not gonna make it, I'm not gonna make it, our kids aren't gonna make it, and our families aren't gonna make it, because we're all connected to that group. So with that, again, thank you guys very much for being a part. God bless you. Have a wonderful Saturday, and you'll hear from me again. Go ahead, brother.
Brother T,
Yes,
for you guys also, if you want to see the micro details of what we're doing on a macro level with BGN, specific to Shreveport, Louisiana, you can go to my website, www.Craig, C-R-A-I-G, Lee, L-E-E, the number 4, and the word city, C-I-T-Y, council, COUNCIL.com. That'll give you a 10 Rays of Light platform of what we're doing in Shreveport, which ties in to the national BGN. And you can Google me as well to see some of the work, and that ties into what Brother T is talking about, that we are not just theorizing. This has been 2.5 years of 2.5 decades of solid work to help empower our people. And we're now plugging in to do this on a national and international level.
And we're doing that because we're doing that because we understand that two of our greatest issues is that we're not connected and we're not organized. And we want to change all of that, because we have leadership that understands what's what, and has the expertise that our people need to move forward, push back, protect our children, and win. So again, thank you guys for being a part. God bless. I'll be in touch. I'll have a good Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good one. Have a good one.
Hasta luego.
All right.
Hasta luego. Peace.